Welcome to my podcast, We Are Never Truly Alone, with myself, Tiffany Rice. And today we have a good friend of mine on, Dustin Pari. This is his second time being on the show. Welcome back, Dustin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back again.
And we have something a little bit different, but yet it's all the same when it comes to my podcast and spirituality. What are we talking about? You lead the way, Dustin.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about a concept known as plus ultra. So I have a whole lecture that I put together about this. Just the understanding that there's more beyond. There's more beyond this world, and there's more that we're capable of doing ourselves. I kind of feel like we've always been taught to play like really small, like from the time we were little, you know, you're taught that you can only do X, Y, and Z. Like when you're little, like some rules make sense, you know, and you get older, like, okay, like, you know, stop at red lights. Like, you know, that's, you know, simple enough. Okay.
Yes.
But I kind of feel at some point along the way, we kind of get told not to do things that maybe we should be able to do. You know, we become dependent upon others to do things for us. We become dependent upon doctors or medicine or government or whatever it is. We take a lot of the control and we just give it up to other people to help us out.
Exactly.
You know, and
exactly.
I feel like mentally and spiritually, like we're spirits going through a human experience. Our spirits are not limited, but yet we live these limited lives like, oh, I can't do anything. I need somebody else to do this for me. Or it's like, that's not the way of it.
It's very traditional.
Yes.
And we get so stuck in our mindset, like, well, this is what we have to do because that's what our family did. And that's what,
Right.
you know, someone else's family did. And like, we just kind of go along with it, but it's all coming back to learning to trust ourselves, mind, body, spirit.
Right.
And when you fully align with the mind, body, spirit part, you are your full self.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's when you're
Absolutely.
whole.
Yeah. And then there's so many more ways forward for us. You know, like we always think, like you said, like we rely on what our family's done, what our parents have done. How many people just carry on the family business because, well, that's what we do. But it's like, if that's not your passion, you're never going to be happy doing that. It's just going to be checking the box, paying the bills. And then you don't want to just be like thrown in a box or, you know, cremated at the end of the day and be like, well, yeah, I lived my life. It's like, but did you? Like,
Right.
You lived, you did things, but did you really live? Did you really like push your boundaries? Did you try to make a difference in your own life or other people's lives? Or did you just show up, punch the clock every day, do the job, sit in traffic, go back home, and then it's just like lather, rinse, and repeat. And then like maybe you can retire at 65 and then, yeah, that was it. Like that's not living.
Well, I think a lot of us it's ingrained in us to feel obligated to do so.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
I have similar experiences where I've felt obligated to stay in a town or, you know, be near a town that I grew up in and never move away, never experience things.
Right.
And now as I'm older, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to go here and go there. And so I end up booking these extravagant vacations just to almost like, yeah, I need to do this. And why didn't I do this 20 years ago?
Absolutely. It's so funny because I mean, growing up in New England, I was just like, I hate the snow. I hate being cold. As soon as I'm old enough to go to college, it's Florida, it's Hawaii, it's California. I'm not going anywhere else. And then I applied and then I get accepted. But then there was like this guilt trip, like this quiet family guilt trip about like you can't leave, you know.
The family guilt trip is
tough.
real.
It's tough.
It is real.
And like I'm trying to push my daughter, and it kills me because I love being close to my daughter. But she's like, oh, I want to maybe go to college somewhere in New England so that we can be close. And I'm like, you need to go somewhere where you're going to be happy. Like, you know, like I have this theory about Rhode Island, like there's one big pothole that just sucks us all in and nobody can ever leave because of the gravitational pull of this pothole.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you need to go do something. And like, as much as I don't want to have her move far away, I don't want to be the reason that she stayed, just like, you know, my family was. And, you know, it's nothing against them. I've carved out a pretty decent life, but I've also pursued other things. It's never been enough for me just to check the boxes. It's like I'm more about thriving than surviving, and I need to find a way forward to thrive.
And that's okay to identify that. I think people feel guilty in that alone, thinking like, I feel like there's something else more for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, me and career-wise, it was always ingrained in my family life. Like you go to work, you work 9 to 5, you get a good health insurance, make sure you get 401k, make all these investments, and then that's it. And you stay at that job for 30 years. And now things have changed. I'm not just saying for myself, but just in the matter, I honestly feel like since COVID, there was so many people that really thought to themselves, what is this life for?
Right. Right.
What am I doing?
It's so weird. Like, we know spirit is very real, right? We know that there's spirits inside us. We know there's spirits around us. And we communicate with spirit. We ask for loved ones who've passed away to come back and tell us things are okay, or tell us something and gives us comfort. But then we don't rely on our own spirit to do anything else, you know? And we're like, it's very hard to think, okay, well, why am I going through this human experience if after this, there's a spiritual afterlife and all my loved ones are already there? Why the hell am I still here?
Right.
But we can't cut the human experience short. We just need to actually live it.
Yes.
And living it
Yes.
is not just checking those boxes, you know? And so this whole plus ultra thing came to me. I was down in Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I went to a tour with some friends of mine, this place called Fonthill Castle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just like a big mansion. You know, it's not like a European castle or anything. But inside the place, there's all these small tiles. The gentleman like made all these ceramic tiles that tell stories as you walk through the room. And it's so
wow.
It's like a weird enchanted place. And I felt like finally all the weird things in my mind have been put out. And I'm walking around. I'm like, this is beautiful. And then there's a fireplace in this one room, and I'm standing in front of the fireplace, and I look up, and there's a balcony that's around the second floor. But there's no stairwell to get to the second floor balcony. And there's all these books. I'm like, why the hell would they build that? Like, you can't access it.
Uh-huh.
And there's one small tile that is written across the fireplace, and it says plus ultra. And plus ultra in Latin, I had to look this up because I don't speak Latin, but plus ultra in Latin means more beyond. And the idea is that there's something else that you're missing. So when you go around the back of the fireplace and squeeze through, there's a stairwell that takes you to this upper level. And I was like, what a great concept. The fact that there is more beyond this life for all of us.
Yes.
And we need to get to that next level. But it's obscured from us. The path isn't made clear. So it's hard for us to step forward because we do what traditionally has always been done. You know?
Yes.
It's frustrating, right?
It's so frustrating. And it's so hard. It's so hard to finally like have that moment of that empowerment where you're like, wait a minute. No, I need to do something different. I need like, right? I get it. I get it.
If anything good came out of the weird COVID time is, for one, definitely it forced us to explore alternate avenues. Yeah. Like we can work from home. Maybe we don't need to work as much. Like why are we working so many hours to make meager pay to just get by all the time, you know?
Why are people nowadays you hear so many people have to have multiple jobs.
Right.
You can't just have that one job.
Right. No, it's not 40 hours. Now it's like 40 hours plus a part-time or another full-time job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How are we going to make it?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, how you're going to make it is living the life that you need to live in order to honor your true self.
Right. And sometimes you got to strip things away. You got to strip things down and realize what's necessary, what's not necessary. But by getting rid of some of that baggage, I've grown to a part of life where I hate things. Like I can't stand so many material things. Like, yes, I need like a truck to like go from place to place. Yes, I need a house to live in. Yeah, you need some clothes and things, but like you don't need as much stuff.
Exactly.
You know, and we spend so much money on stuff all the time. And it's like, well, how did we get the stuff? Well, I bought the stuff with the money. Well, how'd you get the money? Well, I worked a lot of time to get the money to buy the stuff. It's like, okay, well, you're trading your time for money. No matter how much money you make, you can buy more stuff, but you can never buy more time.
Right.
And once that time is gone, that's it. I like reading a lot and I like movies. And the movie Fight Club got me into the books by Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote it. And within that movie, within the book, there's this great soliloquy that Brad Pitt delivers in the movie. And it said that advertising has us working jobs we don't want to do to make money to buy things we don't need to impress people that we don't even like.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Right? I'm like, oh my God, if that's just, like we need to have all the fancy things and the newest car and the newest iPhone so that we could, compete with everybody else. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's all just garbage.
Exactly.
Everything you order from Amazon in that stupid smiling box, it's at your house in 2 days, but within a couple of months or a year or whatever, it ends up back in the garbage somewhere.
Exactly.
Because we don't need all the things.
Yeah.
But we just keep buying more and we forget that there's more beyond for us in this life and we're losing our path. Like just think about like the older ways of doing things. Like yes, modern medicine is great for so many different things, but the older way of doing things were simpler, were more thoughtful. We were more focused on our family. I remember in like 2019, I read an article and it said that aliens aren't visiting us as much anymore. There's been a very sharp decline in people noticing alien activity or, ships in the sky. It's like, well, yeah, who the hell's sitting around looking up anymore?
Right.
We walk around and stare at our phone. Like my grandfather worked at the mill. He would walk back up the street to their house. They would have dinner. And then they'd get the chairs and they'd sit outside. And they'd sit and they'd watch the people go by. They'd sit and they'd look at the stars and hold hands and talk. Now it's like we work 2 stupid jobs. We come back home. We sit on the couch behind our phones, barely talk to the people that we love. And it's like, what the hell are we doing? Like, this isn't living. You know, there's more for us out there, but we don't get to it because we've been told, no, this is what you need to do all the time.
Right.
You know, you feel sad, no problem. Just take these pills. You'll feel happy. Yes. And I'm not telling them, listen, I am no doctor. But we have been conditioned to think that everything has a quick, simple answer and it's available to us in one way or another. But like, you take so many of those pills, like you mute out all your feelings. You know, we talked before about having the sweet and the sour to balance things out.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, and I do a lot of work with mental health. So again, please, if you need help, get help. If you need to be on medications for whatever reason, do what you need to do, but always pursue the opportunity and always believe in the opportunity that you can heal yourself, that you can get better. Because a lot of times, like I've seen it with family members and friends, prescriptions just go up and up and up, both in cost and in milligram.
Yes.
So it's like, we're not getting better. Our body just gets more numb to it. So now we need more stuff to numb the other things we didn't want to feel in the first place.
Exactly.
You know, instead of spiritually trying to find things that make us happy, let's increase our happiness. Instead of trying to just mute out the anger and the displeasure in life, let's find things that bring us joy. Let's focus on the joy. Let's pursue the joy. And it's not an easy path. It's not easy to be like, you know what? No more 2 jobs a week and no more this. You got to find ways to do that creatively, but also you have to be responsible.
Right.
But I think that if we stop and we take a look at all the things, we realize we don't need a lot of that stuff, you know?
And it really is. It's just getting stripped.
Yeah.
You know, stripping it away. Even and it feels so good when you.
I love throwing stuff out.
Yes,
love
yes. It. Like I always
donate things, get rid of stuff.
Exactly, and that's kind of where I'm at. Where I'm like, let's just throw it all away. Even the house, I will just throw the house away. I want to start fresh, you know, because it really it's that energetic weight.
Yeah.
That we put on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all these things are material anchors. They become burdens after a while, you know, like you start to worry about your stuff, you know, then you got to dust it, then you got to clean it, then you got to move it. It's like, what am I doing with all this crap? Like it sits there. Does it bring you any pleasure? Right. You know, does it bring you any joy at all? And I just feel like it's all material distraction. And I feel that if we get back to what really matters and we look at the roots of things, those moments that we share together, you know, like sitting there and watching TV, yeah, I get it. But like sitting there and actually having a conversation, or having a conversation where somebody within like 2 sentences doesn't pick up their phone and like be like, what else can I look at? Like, because it makes us feel unimportant. Like we worry about how people are having trouble communicating, or why like suicide numbers are on the rise and depression. Because when you do try to talk to somebody about it, within a couple of moments, either they're trying to up the ante and tell you how shitty their life is and why they're so upset. So like now your stuff is like not as important, or they literally just pick up their phone and start looking at something else. And you're like, oh, okay. So this just kind of verifies how I feel right now, you know, and it's dangerous. And we need to be more there for each other, but we're not mindful of it because we've become conditioned to push the button. So, okay. So when everything closed down, right? So like March 2020, everything kind of shuts off, right?
Yes.
But like, and I had this discussion at one of your events before. Everything shuts down. We get everybody and we sit them all in their home. And like, you can't go outside, stay inside, don't do this, don't do that. And every day for like a year and a half, 2 years, everyone just stares at the TV all day in their house and they look at like the body number go up of how many people died. Look at the infection rates, how many people are sick. Stay in your house, stay in your house. And yet, regardless of politics or any other BS that really doesn't matter in the big picture of things, this disease starts in one place. It spreads from one person to another person in one place. And then even though we're locking people in their homes, it spreads to small countries and island nations where no one even gets to go most of the time. It permeates every aspect of our society in the furthest reaches of the globe. And it's horrible. And every day we sit there and we think about it more and more, giving it more energy, continuing to grow it. Everybody globally focusing on the same thing. There is mental power that we have that we are not aware of anymore, that our ancient ancestors used to use in their religious services, their spiritual practices. It's a big part of who we are spiritually. Exactly. Prayer is offering that mental power. It's creating that or offering it in a way to try to change your life. And we did that in the negative, most worst way. But yet when I get out there and I do a lecture and I tell people, I believe kindness can change the world. They're like, you're a jackass. Yeah. That'll never happen. I posted online and somebody will be like, you're an idiot. This will never happen. It's like, hey, thanks for helping. But like, why can't it? Why can't we use our mental energy and our spiritual focus to harness good energy and put it out there every day. And that ripple effect, if everybody is focusing on it, it's possible for us to do. There's more beyond this world. There's more beyond what we know we can do. But when everything shuts down in 2020, everyone focuses on the negative and the negative grows, and no one sees the idea that, hey, we could also grow the positive.
And again, we are conditioned to seeing the negative instead of the positive. And always. I agree with you. Believe me, I always say to people, whether you like me or not, like, just be a kind person.
Yeah.
You know, we have to get by on allowing ourselves to have that kindness. And when we talk about, setting that intention, because I feel like in every single one of my podcasts, I'm talking about setting intention. So when we set that intention, or collectively, when we're putting that energy out there as a whole, if we're putting that positive out there, it works just as much as the negativity.
Right. If not
so why
more
not
so.
Go positive and be manifesting and creating this abundant world and that love and being nice to people, rather than, I feel like it takes more time and more effort to be something negative or, just in that sinkhole. And I think it's just breaking the cycle of the condition that we are conditioned to do.
Unfortunately, I worked in television news for many years, and it was, if it bleeds, it leads. You point the camera at negative things. If somebody's crying, get in there, get a tight shot. Like, we need that for the news. And like, I can't even watch the news anymore. I'm like, I don't even care about the weather. My phone will tell me what it is. I don't even care. Like, I'm just going to live my life anyway. I just try to avoid all that negativity, and because we have become conditioned to always look for the bad, to always dwell upon the bad, and to further push it out there for other people. There was a study that was done in, I wanted to say it was Penn State, but I can't recall correctly right now. But people are 3 times more likely to share negative news stories on social media than they are anything positive. Every night.
I believe that.
Absolutely, right? Like, every night for years, my last tweet every day is always the phone number for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And it does get some retweets and shares, which I appreciate, because I'm just trying to leave that light on for people. Darkness is tough. Nighttime is tough. And when we're in a bad place mentally or spiritually, sometimes it's hard to get through the night. So that's why I always put it out there at night. But I look at that, and the number of retweets or something that gets is so small in comparison to like anything about celebrities like affair or like some political like fire or whatever it is. We're like, oh yeah, this, and everyone has an opinion. Everybody wants to fight with each other, and then it breaks off into other branches of negativity. It's like, guys, we're just screwing this up more and more, and there's ways forward without that. But it's a practice. Kindness and positivity is a practice, and people just don't want to put in the effort. They're like, I've already kind of just natural to be this way.
And there's also the ego.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ego plays a huge part in that too.
Yeah, we have to admit our own place in this world, right? We've mentioned this before. We're not all heroes. We're not all victims. We're villains sometimes. Our personalities, our spirits going through this world is a weird dichotomy. Sometimes we can be super positive and happy. Other times we cut somebody off on the highway and give them the finger. Right. So you're not always an angel. You're not always the same, but you're not always the devil either. But it's, the old parable about, there's the 2 wolves inside us of like kindness and anger. And it's like, which one are you going to feed? Right. And for many of us, unfortunately, we've gone down the path where we're so surrounded by anger and negativity. We're like, oh, I'll give them theirs back. It's like, you don't return negativity for negativity. Like my good friend Barry Fitzgerald, I traveled the world with when we used to do the old International Ghost Show. He used to often say, he would take the negative energy given to him, and he would want it dispersed into the universe, not sent back upon that person. And I always thought that was a very nice thing to do. Like, okay, like if we can't change it and make it completely positive, let's break it into small pieces and just throw it and scatter it to the world instead of throwing it right back on one person.
I mean, even in meditation, there's a meditation that I created where that's what you do. You take all the negativity of the day or the week, the month, and you just allow it to leave your body, but you surround it in this beautiful golden light, and that golden light represents love and respect and well-being, and you toss it off into the air and you watch it explode, but the exploding part is the actual positive energy that has taken over the negativity. That's
even better.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you never want to. You never want to put that negativity out there.
Yeah, exactly. I just strive every day to know that, okay, I'm going to make mistakes, going to screw up here and there, but there's better ways forward, and I can always make that effort,
Right.
and you never know who that makes a difference for. And so kindness is a practice, and looking beyond our material world is a practice. But I feel people that, that are into these kind of things, like people that want to come to you for a reading because they know that their loved ones are out there. They're recognizing spirit. They're recognizing the fact that this world is not what we think it is. This is a weird human experience, and for whatever reason we're here, I still believe it's to lift each other up and to go through it together and to help each other through those dark times. But we know that there's more. There's more beyond, and I think that we need to adjust our focus so that we can live accordingly.
And I agree with you too. And I think that if we collectively start to just see that as individually and experience it as an individual, it's only going to give us more power.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining me
It's
again.
my pleasure. Always happy to be here.
Yes. And again, how can people find you, Dustin?
Easy enough at DustinPari.com. That's DustinPari.com. Everything's linked there.
All right. Well, thank you guys. And I hope you have an amazing day. And always remember, we are never truly alone. Thank you.